lot of my non-Christian students, and they'll tell me this week, Mr. Coleman, you're an extremist. Because basically you have 1 master's degree and 3 PhDs, and you treated them like you have no respect for their credentials. I told him, I said, you're an embarrassment to have them because you did not answer the question. And I said, and you got these children here that know nothing. One of them had the audacity to ask me who I was. I said, I teach philosophy like all of you. And it's ridiculous. Answer the question. And did you know that you people, and I put up a YouTube clip of you from last Sunday, you people have more intelligence than a lot of those people on that panel. Because I asked you a question in this room, and now they're watching you all over the world this morning answer the question from your pew. That means something about your Christianity. Because the minute you become silent and don't say anything, then this word means nothing to you. Absolutely nothing. Also, do we with pleasure incur the wrath of some because of our strong Christian beliefs? Most of us would say, no, I don't want people to get mad at me. You cannot help it. When you open up your mouth to defend the faith in any way, you will incur wrath from people. When you tell people how they ought to live, what they ought to do, you will incur wrath. You was called stupid, right, man? That's why. See, you incur wrath whenever you tell people the truth. It's just that way. Do we think in those terms concerning our faith in Jesus Christ, or how far our commitment to Christ is going to carry us in the past, in the present, and in the future? How far are you going to go with this? I was thinking when I was preparing this, and I said, John, how far are you going to go in doing what you do? Are you ever going to ease up? All right, let me ask you. Do you guys think I'm ever going to ease up?
No.
No.
Do you ever think that I can change and become a passive, some kind of, well, we don't know what John's going to say. You need to know that whenever you go anywhere with me and something confronts me, if you are timid in your career, you need to go to the other side of the room. Because I'm going to step up to the lion and I'm going to bait him with me as the meat. I'm going to do that. And if you ain't got the guts enough to do it, step aside. See, oh, did you see what happened to John? What? He just sacrificed his career and everything. Listen, the Bible says that I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. And I believe the same thing works for you. Well, the point of our gathering today, in which I call the big idea, is that Paul recognized how important it was for the first century church to ascribe to a standard of living through faithfulness. See, there's a standard of living that each of us have to ascribe to as we faithfully live out our Christian lives every day. We never know what our lives are going to present to us. Our lives are going to present some strange things, but you can't be squeamish about it. You've got to confront that right on. So, let's get into the habit of doing this as believers. Now, possibly for some of you, and maybe even for those that are viewing through YouTube, you've never really considered the extreme importance of these kinds of thoughts. And that's why I thought that I'd put it together like this as I look at these verses in 1 Thessalonians, because I want you to consider how it is that we should be, especially when we're living in a day when, you know, I just got to say it, this female professor, she comes on the stage, I couldn't believe it. She starts off, a little skinny thing, didn't weigh more than 110 pounds wet, and on the stage, and she said, first of all, I want to affirm that I'm a communist. And she says, there is no God because I said it. I declare him not to exist. Now, I'm looking at this pathetic human being. And I'm thinking of what my brother just told me that he saw Apocalypto. If you haven't ever seen that movie, it is a bloodbath. It shows what people without God and the God idea will do to other people at the drop of a hat. If there is no God, we would all be killing each other, raping each other, eating each other in this room right now if there was no God. And for that stupid, ignorant woman to say that there's no God on one of the finest universities in the world, in our city, University of California in Los Angeles, UCLA, for her to utter that and to let her walk up that stage thinking that she was right, unchallenged, and there was a Christian in the room, would have been an aberration. And that Christian has an obligation, a duty, if you will, to speak out loud and clear and let her know, first of all, that your words will be judged throughout eternity for the statement that you made this day, because some of the students walked out of the auditorium before they heard me speak. And during a debate, you can't holler in the audience, the police will put you out. And when I saw those students walking out, my heart bled. I said, because they're going to think it's true. And those students will spend an eternity in hell. So I had to redeem the ones there. That's why I did, Andre and Kayla's, what I did. I said, this is ridiculous. And there's Christians in the room, and then I'm just going to sit there and say, well, that's her opinion. No, that's why Paul wrote these words, and he was admonishing the church. And when you see things like that, even at the risk of losing your job and your safe place, you must speak out. Now let's look at this and see the way Paul views the church in the first century, and let's see if we meet some of these attributes here. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't finish telling you what I said to her. I just said to her, I said, why should we believe you? Because you said it. And then I asked the participants, would you all not agree with me that you are totally depraved? Totally. That you can't do anything good? There's nothing good in you? Did any of them answer me? No. They just sat there and glared at me. Now let me give you the secret of this. When the Holy Spirit is in you, and you're talking with the heathen, they freeze, just like Fred Price did at Hayford's church. When you get up under the power of the Holy Spirit, they can say nothing. Amen. See, and Dan didn't tell them that I was a pastor. And I didn't mention, they asked me who I was. I said, don't worry about who I am. Answer this question. They couldn't answer it. At that point, all of them lost the debate. Because I just needed one to say, I am not totally depraved. Yes, they are. Just like in that movie. They would all be eating each other and killing each other. But yet they said there is no need for God in our society. Erase that idea from your mind and look deep down within you and walk and live in your freedom. No. The Apostle Paul would have done greater than I did. Point number one, Paul's motive towards the local church, as seen in verses 8 and 9. Verses 8 and 9 of our text, 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 8 and 9. He says, but we prove to be gentle amongst you, as a nursing mother tenderly cares for her children. Oh, I'm sorry, 8 and 9. I'm sorry, I was reading 7. Having thus a fond affection for you, we were well pleased to impart to you not only the gospel of God, but also our own lives, because you had become very dear to us. For you recall, brethren, our labor and hardship, how working night and day, as not to be a burden to any of you, we proclaim to you the gospel of God. Now we're going to look at this first part right here, because Paul identifies that he had more than a quaint, trite relationship. Did you know that most pastors in our world today do not have a relationship with the people that they speak to? None. It's just totally cut off. You can't even get close to him. You can't talk with him. He don't want to talk with you. He doesn't want to have anything to do with you. And I thought about this as I read that, because I looked at the students, the secular students that were with me at UCLA that go to Harvard College, were with me just like church members were, weren't they? They're right around the professor. Oh, Mr. Coleman, Mr. Coleman. It is what